I always say, like, I'll never sell the brewery unless it's, like, a life-changing amount of money. Because, like, at that point, I would just, okay, great, I'll take that, just open another brewery. So, like, fine. But, like, if it was ever, like, if someone's like, hey, we'll give you $1 million for it, I'd be like, no, fuck off. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But if someone's like, hey, here's $15 million for your brewery, I'd be like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. And, like, it wouldn't be a thing where, like, I'm abandoning people. I'd be like, okay, great. Like, I'm going to open up a brewery, like, a town over. Like, fine, great, no problem. There's probably like huge clauses in that I can never do that, but in an ideal world, that's what I would do.
That's in your negotiations.
Yeah, in my negotiations. Yeah, I mean, I look like a good negotiator too. This is what you want showing up in the boardroom, dude. I showed up to meet the governor looking like this. I met the governor a few times to talk about like beer and like legislation stuff, and I just was in like my Brewlittle's Hawaiian shirt and like shorts.
Well, you look like craft beer.
Yeah, I don't dress. I mean, I look good in a suit, but I hate dressing up. The same thing. Like I had a Burlington County Chamber of Commerce thing that I spoke to like new faces of business or whatever it was, like in Jersey. And I thought they just wanted me to talk for like a little bit. I didn't realize where I was going to, and I just had like a big like day at the brewery. So I'm in like khaki shorts, my boat shoes, and the bright orange Hawaiian shirt I wear all the time. And I get to this place, and these people are in like suits and pearls and shit. And I was like, fuck. And then I get in there, and I'm like, I am so underdressed. And I found out that I wasn't on like a quick little panel. I was the last person to speak.
Oh my god.
In like the big panel, and I had to follow one of the state senators. I had to follow the mayor of Burlington County and the president of the Burlington County Chamber of Commerce. So I followed all these guys up that were in like suits and ties with like shorts and Hawaiian shirts.
I'm your host, Richie Tevlin, joined as always by Evan Blum, and tonight we have on Jack O'Connell from Dr. Brewlittle's.
What's up, fellas?
So Dr. Brewlittle's, if you don't know, a brewery in Burlington, New Jersey.
Yep.
Right? What's the town?
Maple Shade,
New
so
Jersey.
Burlington County, yep.
Yep, so we had Eric Orlando on a couple weeks ago, kind of gave us the introduction to what the Jersey beer scene is like, and you are now our first brewery from New Jersey, so we want to hear from you.
That's right.
And I just, for the first time, lucky enough to come by your tap room the other day. You gave us a little tour.
Yeah.
And I knew instantly, like, Evan's been saying, like, we have to have this guy on.
Yeah. Since yesterday.
Yes.
Said it. Yeah,
I came.
Since we had the open spot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Since someone dropped out today, three other people said, no, we got to have this guy on.
We got you. But, like, instantly, like, 3 minutes after meeting, you're like, this is going to be an electric interview. Like, you are exploding with personality, larger than life. This is going to be great. So can you just give us an introduction to start, like, kind of what is Dr. Brewlittle's all about? How do you guys get started? And then, like, kind of what is Dr. Brewlittle's?
Yeah, so I guess the easiest thing to do is at the start, I used to work at Mount Laurel Animal Hospital, and that's where I met my friend and now business partner, Chris Torrey. He owns a couple animal hospitals in New Jersey, and then owns actually part owner, like one in Philadelphia, Art City. So we just kind of became friends with me working there. My original intention was to be a veterinarian. Just really was like 100% committed to it, but not like 1,000. And if you're going to go to like 4 years of med school basically and like do all that stuff, like if I did that, I was going to be a vet. There's no like, well, I spent, $500,000 on school and I went to another 4 years and I did that. Like, I'm not just like, well, I guess I'm going to be like a psychiatrist now. Like you're going to be a vet. So I was like in that field and working at the hospital. I was there for probably like 5 or 6 years, I think. And then just kind of pulled out, didn't want to do it. Went back to like my background, which is in like computer science, and then I have like engineering and stuff like that. And just stayed friends with Chris. He approached me one day, like we drank beers together a lot, like we hang out pretty often. And he was like, "Hey, I want to start a brewery. Like, what do you think?" And I was like, "Why the fuck would I do that? Like, I'm working a good engineering job, making close to 6 figures a year. I work 4 days a week, and 3 of them are watching like anime because like everything's automated. Like I've automated everything, so I basically don't work." And I mean, I worked a ton, but just was watching anime and not working basically. And I was like, I don't know if I want to give that up. Like, it's a lot for me to say, like, let me, give up my life to do something that, because I never brewed a drop of beer before this. I worked in beer in Long Island for like maybe a year and a half before I like moved out to Jersey with my ex. So like, I didn't have like a huge background in it. Like, I knew I liked it and I drank a ton, but a lot of it was like just not like super high end craft stuff. So this was all new to me. Mm-hmm. So it was like a huge risk, and I was kind of getting it all set up, and we were looking at buildings, and our original building was actually pulled off from under our feet. It's actually the lot that's next door to us now. We found out Volcano Sushi obviously was like the one that wanted to like buy it, and because they wanted a liquor license. So they pick it up. We're out of a building, and we're all like, hey, we got a lot of stuff going on. I have huge projects at work. Chris is opening another animal hospital. like Jeff, one of our old business partners who I bought out, like him and his brother were opening like a mortgage company. So we all had so much stuff going on. We're like, all right, let's back burner it until the end of this year. So end of the year's coming around, and I'm like, I was talking to my wife, or she was I guess then just my girlfriend, Casey. And I was like, hey, like I'm half-assing two things. I'm like 1 foot in the brewery game, like 1 foot in work. Like I don't want to commit all this time to the brewery if it's not going to happen, but I also like don't want to take on huge projects at work if I'm going to go do the brewery, because I don't want like a 5-month introductory project and then like, oh, peace out 2 months in. It's kind of a dick move. So I end up telling her like, hey, this week I'm scheduling a meeting with Chris and Jeff. Like I got to tell them like, hey, I got to do one thing or the other. We either have to definitely do this thing or not do it so I can focus on a direction in my life. I mean, I was young. I was 27, 28 at the time. So weirdly enough, Jeff goes, yeah, I want to talk to you guys too about something. We have a quick phone call. Jeff goes, hey, before anything starts, I bought a building. I'm like, what the fuck you mean you bought a building? He's like, apparently the building that was next to the lot we wanted, which is a 2-story building, he was like, yeah, I just bought it. Because like, it'll be a good project. Maple Shade's on the up and up. Like, I'll just be able to sell this building no matter what. But like, I have a building if we want it. And I was like, well, I made this phone call because I have to decide if I want to do a brewery or not. And just from there, we just got the ball rolling like heavily. I did all of our state paperwork and stuff like that. And it was.
And when was this?
So this would have been in 2019. Actually, was the original inception of the idea. And then did all the paperwork, got everything going, started the contract, got the business going, got the pole barn built, like revitalized the inside. And we were slated to open March of 2020. Obviously didn't happen.
It's a great time.
Yeah, just a real good time. Everyone's super happy. It was kind of crazy because you go from like the apex of like what Pokemon Go was and everyone hanging out. And the world was a beautiful place to just, oh my God, everything's shut down. We're all dying. So obviously the state went down to like working basically 1 day a week. We had kind of a shitty rep for it too. And it sidetracked everything. We didn't open until September of 2020. So it was just like 7 months where I was basically retired but getting paid to like golf 3 days a week. So that like helped get my game in like, the good spot. But it was just like crazy roller coaster from like, holy shit, I don't know if I want to do this, to holy shit, it's happening, to holy shit, it's here. And that just was like the whole, like how it all kind of started, where it came from. And then, the partners we had and stuff like that. And it's just it'll be 4 years this September now.
Cool. So I want to get this out of the way. I mean, what came first? The name of the brewery? I mean,
so the idea for the brewery came before the name.
Okay.
So weirdly enough, my wife actually thought of the name for the brewery.
Oh, really?
So we were in an old condo, and so my mom originally was like, "Are you sure you want to do that? You have these like college degrees, like we paid for. Like, do you really want to like go to do something that you've never done before?" You're like, so I'm still the young, as far as I know, like unless someone speaks up, because I don't think anyone has opened new ones. I'm the youngest in Jersey right now, so I'm 33. I'm still the youngest brewery owner. But
that's wild.
I know it's crazy at 33. Like, because I would have thought someone by now would have done it. Because I think the guy who's just above me is, I always forget his name. It's like Andrew or something from Magnify.
Okay.
So he, I think, is like, he was 25 when he opened up, but he's 2 years older than me now. So I'm still, as far as I know, the youngest.
Which is crazy because like in craft beer years, you're a veteran.
But weirdly enough, like I'm not though. Like when I go to these meetings and stuff, so like, well, so what I get a lot is people don't assume, because like you look at me and you think, well, who's this giant, like hairy Sasquatch person? And like this is how I dress and how I look. Like I have a lot of hair. I'm a big dude. Like I have a pretty like buoyant personality. And I'd go to these like state meetings and stuff like that. Like I used to be on like boards for beer and stuff like that. And I'd go into these meetings where like everybody would be in like their 50s and 60s. I'd be showing up at like 30. And they'd be like, oh, like you like work there or something? I was like, no, like I own it. And they're like, oh, like what's your background? I was like, I don't know, I never brewed beer before. And so they'd look at me like, this like fucking moron, dude. Like, why is he opening a brewery up? What is he doing? But like, I have this really addictive personality that like, if I want to do something, I fucking do it. And if I'm not going to be good at it, I just don't do it. Like that's why I don't run track. Like I'm not going to be good at running track. I won't do it. So like same thing with golf. Like I started golfing 3 years ago, and if anyone who listens golfs, I'm a little less than a 10 handicap right now. So I shoot like high 70s, low 80s in my club, but I mean I'll have like my day where I shoot like a fucking 88 or something like that. But I have like I put everything into it, and so when this brewery happened, that was a big like why that was such a big point in my life, because I was like I had like a horrible like internal argument with myself of like, you're half-assing two things, don't do that because you're gonna fuck something up.
And that's not your personality.
Hell no, dude. You can ask my wife. Like I always have these like the weird hobby of the year, and like I will just get way too into it, but for like a year, and like golf stuck thankfully, and the brewery stuck. But like it'll be like Magic the Gathering. I'll play it super intensely and spend thousands of dollars in a year, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore. That
is honestly how my personality goes with either Pokemon or wrestling or whatever hobbies I get. It's a good year and a half, and then it's like, oh, what's next now?
Oh yeah, dude, I lost like 30 pounds playing Pokemon Go and walking and stuff, and put it on all back the next year. But yeah, I mean it's crazy. So I'd go into these meetings though, and if you can't tell, I have horrible ADD. So we're gonna talk about 4 things, and it's every sentence. But I'd go back to these meetings and like I would start talking, and then I'd be really into beer, and I know like the nuances of it, and the laws behind it, and all that stuff. And then like I got a little more respect. But at first, like I mean, I look like a brewery owner, like I get that. But like also when I go to these like statewide meetings and stuff like that, I don't come off as like a guy who's been doing this for like 4 years now. And there are a lot of guys who are in it for like a while longer than us. But I mean, 4 years, we're getting up there though. We're kind of like, we were right after or right before that like big boom of like breweries started, because everyone seems to be around like, 5-6 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, I mean, you guys opened up as just the tap room, or like everything you guys were producing your own beer from the start?
So in Jersey, the law is anything that you put on your tap list, you have to make.
Okay.
I can't get it from anywhere else. You can have people contract it, and it's kind of like a gray area in New Jersey. There's no like real regulation about it. Like anything that I have on our tap list, we make. So that production facility, like when we met at like, I guess like a little less than a week ago, everything is produced back there by my brewer, Josh. And now we just hired a new guy, Nick Martino. So he's working back there with us too.
He was the brewer at Red, White, and Brew.
Yeah. So the owners just want to be a little bit more involved with stuff. So, they were going to keep him part-time, and like he just wanted a full-time thing. And it was just really good timing that my sales guy, because now I'm in charge of sales, but my sales guy went to go be the head brewer at ARC, which he's a phenomenal brewer. So I was super happy for him that he got that opportunity. And then just worked out timing-wise that the owners want to be more involved in Red, White, and Brew, and Nick needed a new place, and we put him on. And Josh said he's like, it's the one of the best like assistants or guys back there that he's had. Because Nick's a full-time brewer, he's not even really like an assistant or anything like that. But yeah, so it was just kind of like it was everything at once. Like we built the tap room out, we had the production space. I mean, I thought it was gonna be kind of like a fun thing to do. I didn't realize how big we were gonna get. So like our fridge was just like I showed you like the corner of the brewery, and now it's like 20 by 25. Like I can't imagine working it out of that fridge. I still can't imagine.
Like that?
We only had that first fridge for like 6 months, and we're like, this is way too small. Like we're selling way too much beer.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been to Dr. Brewlittle, it's like like classic tap room up front. You go back, and it's just like this like what do you like Amish
massive. Oh yeah, we have a pole barn.
A pole
that
barn.
like 12-year-old Amish kids built. Bro, I've never seen anything like it. They would show up in like full slacks and hats and the hair and everything. Like it'd be full on like Amish. Like they were Federville pole barns. Dude, they were Amish. Like it was nuts. And you'd go out sometimes to talk to them. I talked like their foreman and stuff. And then I'd look up and they'd have like 13 or 14-year-old kids just like climbing trusses with like nail guns. No harnesses, just like bop, bop. And just doing it like with ease in like church pants. Dude, it's fucking wild. It's wild.
I don't know how to screw anything together.
I can build stuff 10 feet and down. Like, you're not putting me up high anywhere. Because I know that gravity works the same on all of us, but I'm falling way harder and way faster.
I mean, it wasn't just slapped together, too. It's like high quality. It looks
nice.
It's
all, trusses are set like 8 feet in the fucking ground or something like that. Like, it's all like really nice quality tin for the barn and stuff. There's like, we have 2 heating elements in it. Like, it's a nice building. But they just put it up so fast.
And you have room to grow also. I mean, like you have it's 5-barrel brewery. You said you have 5 and 10-barrel bright tanks or fermenters. And then you still have the dry goods storage, but like you have packaging right there, but there's still places that you can add tanks.
Yeah, there's 2 spots where you can drop tanks. We had the conversation today that if it does move to like, cardboard case in some of our cans or 12-ounce cans, we would need a new canning line.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that if I did like that big of an expansion or we want to grow more, there's an empty lot next to us. I'd almost consider like making a big U-shaped building essentially and just having like every like thing storage there and production on one side and then like a throughway.
That's very cool. And I mean, just the tap room in general is kind of connected to everything, and you guys are expanding into the space next to you, so it's like kind of like creating this whole experience.
Yeah, building like a 60-person patio out there.
Nice.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, we're getting there. It's almost.
Yeah, and you guys have the party room up top?
Yeah, so we have a second floor that I use for like a lot of private events. It's overflow for the tap room too. Like if there's a band, it gets really loud downstairs. People can go upstairs. It's a little bit more of a quieter like environment and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, it's used for private events. Like we have like 2 this weekend, and so that's really nice to be able to book all that stuff.
Nice.
Especially since the laws changed. Because before I can only have a certain amount.
Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, we had Eric on, and he kind of explained.
Eric's a good guy to go to for the laws for stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but like your experience, like you were living it. Like, what was it like going through that transition from like, have you felt like some of the ease on the transition?
So it's been weird because like being a brew that opened heat of COVID in September, and there was really not many other people that opened around me. So we dealt with not only, it doesn't feel like we ever were like a full brewery, like it just kind of grew a little bit. Because like that same weekend we opened up, when we announced like, hey, we can finally open up, the next day Governor Murphy was like, hey, by the way, Labor Day weekend, 25% capacity of the state, like people can go indoors again. So we were like, that shifts our whole fucking business now. Because we thought we were just going to do like to-go stuff. And then we're like, all right, well, I guess we got to finish out the tap room. So I never like to say there's a silver lining to COVID because it was a fucking horrible thing. But I was able to scale from like 25% to 50 to 75 to 100. So it was like a way easier.
natural transition.
It was really easy. So I think I was able to grow quicker and expand quicker because we were able to see like what we needed each stage, not like take a risk that I didn't need of like, hey, let's get, like a bunch more tanks or like that would, I mean, sometimes when you grow too quick, it cripples a brewery.
Definitely.
Because you can't support it. But we were able to say, okay, no, like we need more because we're getting more people. Okay, we're going to get more people. We need a little bit more. So we kind of grew that way. So that was really good for us. But then we were still in the part of like, laws were a little relaxed during COVID, and then they dropped the hammer for a little bit, being like, nope, you can only have like 25 events per year, and you can only do like 10 outside events, stuff like that. And in my head, I'm like, and it was a state thing because restaurants and bars really thought breweries were going to be a huge risk to their business, and I get it. You pay $500,000 to $1 million for a liquor license, you got to make that money back, but you don't have like huge pieces of equipment that cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like you're spending thousands of dollars on equipment and kitchen stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on my brewing equipment because it's what actually makes my product. And I always say, like, in a kitchen cooks, a brewery makes. And I have nothing against, like, bars and restaurants, but, like, you're not creating your product. You're cooking your product. And there's, like, obviously a creative spot to it. But they thought that brews would be a much bigger risk to bars and restaurants. So they have really powerful lobbyists all over the country, but especially in New Jersey. Because New Jersey is a very densely populated state. So there's, like, 4,000 or 5,000 bars and restaurants and 130 breweries. So they thought, well, these people are only paying $1,000 for their license. They're a huge threat to us because they're going to take all this business away from us, and they don't have like a huge upfront cost. What they didn't really think about was I don't have food or liquor. Like there's a whole population that will never go to a brewery because they either don't like beer that much or just want to eat something every time they go out. So so the hammer got dropped, and then breweries started like opening up in towns, and like they would revitalize towns. Like restaurants would see more business. Everybody saw more business. I can't think of a town where a brewery moved to it and it was a bad thing. It has never, in my opinion, been a bad thing when a brewery opens up somewhere. It only revitalizes stuff, brings up property value. Like it just does well for the town. So when they started seeing that, they didn't care as much. And then when I was on the board for the New Jersey Brewers Association before, so you talked to Eric before they merged.
Yeah.
So it's funny because the first meeting I went into, I was we called it me and Zach from Gusto. We're in charge of like technology and stuff like that. So I did like help with the websites. Basically, I was a young nerd, and they were like, "Yeah, you do the tech stuff." And I was like, "All right." But the first meeting I had, I was like, "Yeah, so when are we gonna like get back with like the guild?" And they were like, "No, we don't know if we want it." It was like my first meeting. I said we should do this, and that was 2 years before it happened. And then like it finally happened, and I was on the board as the vice president right before a couple months before the merge, before they had like new board and new elections and stuff. But when we were on that board, we were pushing for reform because we were like, you can't survive if these are the regulations. Like, if I want to say, hey, I want to have a band every night, like, I should be able to pay a band every night to come in and play. Because all that's doing is it's a dumb business decision because you lose a shit ton of money. But in doing that, like, if I sell more beer, I pay more taxes to the state. Like,
You're also paying somebody to come in that probably lives in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's also, like, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, the better I do as a business, the more money I'm giving the state. So it never made sense to me why the state was, like, putting regulations on us and, like, for bars and restaurants. And I get that that's such a bigger tax source for them. But at the same time, like, if you just have a chance to make any more money, like, why would you not just make it? Like, it never made sense to me. So then when they lifted all the regulations, we went fucking apeshit. Like, I was like, fuck it, here we go. I have Trivia Tuesdays, Open Mic Thursdays. We do SIPs events, so Save One Pet Sundays, where we do, like, rescue events with people. Music, like, every Friday and Saturday. And we just said, fuck it. Like, we're just going to bring a bunch of people. And so I guess, short story long, when those regulations got there, we went from relaxed regulations during a shitty time in COVID to strict regulations once things started opening up a little bit more, to now lax regulations. I mean, COVID's never going to be done. It's always going to be a thing that's here. But, like, no one really talks about it because you just don't get as much as vaccinations and all that stuff. But now, like, we have lax regulations during a normal time. So we went through the absolute roller coaster of regulations and, like, what the brewery was producing and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Cool. So, I mean, what have been the biggest differences? I mean, were you guys selling, were you guys primarily taproom based?
Yeah, so for the first, we didn't get our canning line until May or June of 2022, I want to say.
So everything was sold over the bar.
Correct, and we did growlers and crowlers, so that was like our to-go option. And then I was like, I like this, it's nice, but I think if we ever want to do distribution, like really get out there or create a product that lasts longer inside on people's shelves, we got to go with the 4-packs. Because the classic thing about crowlers and growlers, as awesome as they are, you can get anything you want there. I have to be like, hey, make sure you drink this like tomorrow or it's not going to be as good. And we would deal with a lot of like oh yeah, I had your beer. It tastes kind of off. And I was like, oh, when'd you have it? Like, well, we opened it the day we got it, and then I put it in my fridge, and then like I drank like 2 days later. I was like, oh yeah, the beer's oxidized as shit. Like you can't do that. But like a 4-pack, they can have a beer and then have another one later, and it's still gonna be closed and fine. So we started as that, and then realized like, hey, like we have a market to do like 4-packs. People are asking for like more stuff to go, or like a more sustainable, shelf stable version of this. So let's get a canning line, and then we were able to naturally grow in a canning line, and then. Because it was, like I said, it was all taproom stuff before that. And then as we got the canning line, we kind of said, all right, let's see if we can get like maybe some kegs or cans in like bars and restaurants and liquor stores. And that slowly grew. And I just took it over a few weeks ago and signed like, 15 new people. But so it's, like I said, it's just been like really natural growth. It went from, okay, let's get the taproom to be really good and get our beer really good. Okay, now we can grow into a canning line. Let's find a really good canning line, like one of the best that they make. There's only one other spot in New Jersey, maybe 2 now that have it.
What is it?
It's a Gosling. It's
Cool, yep.
So Wild Goose canning line. We have their Gosling. It's awesome. It's fucking really, really good. Zeds was the first one to have it. We were the second, and I think someone else in New Jersey just got one. I forget who it is. It might be Kings Road has a Gosling.
Okay.
Maybe not Gosling, but a Wild Goose line. So it's the same thing where it was like we were able to naturally progress through growth. I didn't overextend myself with everything. So I could get the taproom really good to getting distribution decently good. And then like maybe getting like a restaurant really good. Like so we're able to kind of chop it up into certain sections.
So your restaurant, are you guys serving food, or is that just kind of like
no,
on
it's
the table?
it's on the table for sure. It's something that me and Chris have visited a few times. He actually wanted to start as a brew pub in the beginning. He wanted a restaurant.
Really?
Yeah, but I told him I was like, it's a lot more work. And I put in my minimum weeks there 50, 60 hours. Like I put in a lot of work in that place, especially now at sales. Like I think it was kind of funny. Like my wife just went to the beach. She's going to the beach tonight. I think in the last 2 days I've seen her for like 4 or 5 hours, not including like just going to bed, because we're both like super busy. But this keeps me really busy. And excuse me. But when we like first started doing it, like he was like, I kind of want to do a brew pub, and I was like, the curse of the brew pub is that they always have decent beer and decent food. It's never holy shit, this place's beer is so good, and also they have a great cook. It's always like we open at the same time. You never have really time to like hone in on one. If you do, the other really suffers, and that can kill a place like that. If like you have really good beer and shitty food, no one will eat. They're just gonna drink. They're never gonna go there again. I told him, I was like, all right, let's get our beer really good. Because not a lot of brew pubs have like really good fucking beer. Like they might have an awesome kitchen and their beer is like, all right, it's good beer. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not anything that I'll write home about, but like I don't mind drinking it. So like let's get our beer really good. Let's do as good as we can. Get a professional brewer. Like get our ideas together. Like do good beer. And then if it opens up down the line, like there's a place next door we could potentially buy. Like let's do that.
You plug into like the brewery scene. A lot of people that are like into breweries, like they look at brew pubs and breweries differently, and like if you can like attract like the brewery crowd, they're already coming to you, and then like the restaurant crowd is just gonna always be there.
Yeah,
like,
no matter what. Yeah, because people always say like, oh, you're the only brewery in Maple Shade. I go, well, technically not. There's an Iron Hill in Maple Shade. And I like going there. I'm there first Fridays. I do my points.
It as a restaurant.
Correct. It's not a brewery. So I think if we can get our brewery side really good, which I think we've done so far, won a couple awards. Like we have like competitions we've won, like stuff like that. Get our beer really good, still have that brewery crowd, and then also offer the food to people. And then if they want something other than our beer, you have like liquor and stuff like that too. But I can still have that same like beer crowd. Like they're coming there for great beer and good food. But yeah, so that's kind of been like the journey through that. And so it's definitely on the table. Like I wouldn't say that we don't want to do it. It's more just I don't like growing out of want. I want to grow out of need. Definitely. And so when we need to knock down a wall and maybe open up a brew pub, like we're gonna do it. But it's definitely something we're thinking about for sure.
Okay, so I guess like you've grown through the tap room and now distribution. Have you seen your beers change? Like I mean, you've had the same head brewer since you opened.
Yeah, that was kind of like my goal, was to make sure that like our beer didn't suffer if I want to go out. Like I grew distribution as our brewery grew. So before we had our production expansion that we just finished like last September, October, I said like, hey, we can sell maybe a keg or two off of each of these batches, like because we're going so much like through so much beer in the tap room. I don't want it to like the tap room to suffer because I want to sell a keg for $200 to a bar or restaurant. So for us, it was more like the product always stayed the same because I was never like trying to rush stuff out for like distribution. I always just took what I could off of what we were making, like to the highest quality that I could get it at.
I guess what I meant was like the spread of like the styles of beer. Like you guys start off.
Oh,
you guys basically brew everything all one.
No, we've always been a big variety thing, just because there's so many different types of beer out there. Like, why limit yourself to like, hey, we just want to do IPAs? Because there are a lot of brews out there that just do IPAs, and I'm not saying they're bad IPAs, but if I go somewhere and I get like a flight, I don't want to go through 3 flights of all IPAs and have like honestly 60% of them taste the fucking same. Because I have a good palate. I know that. But like at the end of the day, you have 5 IPAs that have Citra and one other hop in it. Like you're gonna taste the Citra. It's gonna taste like that. It's just gonna be that. Like there are nuanced differences, but to the average beer drinker, which is 80% to 85% of like what you're actually bringing in, they're not going to know the difference. It's just going to taste like a lot of similar IPAs. So for me, we have 16 taps. Like I want different beers on. Usually at any one time, I would say we have, not including like grogs, maybe 2 to 3 IPAs on out of 16. And then I like pilsners, lagers, stouts, pours. Like there's just so much variety you can do.
You were talking about this, the Orange Dog Stations, the white ale.
It's a white ale. Like who, other than NJAllagash or like Cold Snap, like you just don't see white ales.
Yeah, a part of why hazy IPAs grew, it was like the redheaded stepchild of white ales. It was like
I mean, you had like the heady toppers and all that stuff come out, and it was it was cool having those IPAs. But I like to switch now, where it's more towards like pilsners and lagers and weird shit. So like I'd rather have with 16 taps only 2 or 3 IPAs because I'm not a hype brewery, and I know that. I'm a brewery in a blue collar town that wants to make beer approachable for everybody. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit if my beer sells out in like 20 minutes and it's cool and I make a bunch of money and everyone like all like the hop heads grab. Like I don't give a fuck about that. My big thing was always I modeled the brewery and how we did things after my dad, weirdly enough. So my dad was always like a Mick Ultra drinker, like Coors Light, like stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I still pound PBRs. Like I have a bottle of Shadow Raptors in my fridge that probably costs like $600 for a single bottle, next to a 6-pack of PBR. Like I don't care. Like I'm a trash can for alcohol. Dude, I'll rip like fucking like, I'll be doing like Blanton's and Hibiki and stuff like that, and then I'll go rip like green tea shots. Like I just really don't care. But I modeled after my dad because I was always like, how do you get that? Like those are the people who drink a lot of beer. Craft beer drinkers drink beer, but they don't drink 10 beers at a time. They're drinking 2 or 3, having a nice time. That's awesome. But how do you kind of get the guy that wants like 5 or 6 light beers?
I want some competitive drinkers.
Exactly. I mean, that's how we won the competition with this thing. I just brought out a bunch of drunk space. I'll tell you that in a sec. But so I was like, what beer would my dad like? And so we made like an American Pilsner and an amber lager and like light, like shower beers basically. Like you have a hot day mowing the lawn, you can like crank back a 4% IPA or Pilsner in the shower instead of drinking a 7% IPA. They're golf beers. And so then like that's kind of what my dad was like he tried craft beer at the time, like when Long Island was around and stuff like that. And like I grew up 6 minutes from BluePoint Brewing. So I went through their old facility, their new one after like Anheuser bought them and stuff. And he went from like being like, I don't like craft beer because it was all IPAs at the time to like, hey, Dad, try like this Pilsner or this lager. And now like every party I come to, like he asks me to bring beer and I bring these light beers and he fucking loves them. And now he does drink some IPAs once in a while because he's like developed the palate for craft. And that's kind of how we modeled it was I wanted beer for everybody, not just for like beer drinkers.
It's good. And like instead of like, like how do we attract the average beer drinkers? You take something specific that's just like in your target market and like, I'm targeting you specifically. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things. If you just hit that target, there's a lot of other things that are around there.
Yeah. If you can create a craft beer drinker, that's a beer drinker for life. Like, because that's someone who's already drinking a ton. Like, that's kind of what we model it after is who do I have that can drink like 10 beers? That's really,
Sick of your POS system being a POS? POS Specialists, powered by Heartland, have been the experts in cutting-edge POS technology for over 20 years. But they're not scriptwriters, so they let AI write their script. Thirsty for a delicious deal? Feast your eyes on our tastefully crafted point-of-sale system. From order up to cash out, this POS is the coriander spice your brewery needs. It'll have you saying, Prost. Yikes. See? That's why they have a 24/7 live phone support, not chatbots. Their experienced project managers will program your POS, train your staff, so you can just focus on the beer and not worry about the AI. Ask about their free processing options, handhelds, and online ordering. Email kevin@posspecialists.com. Mention BrewedAt and get $500 off your install. Email kevin@posspecialists.com.
So you just say like you're not a hype brewer. Like there's a lot of breweries that like lean into like like the beer insider beer scene.
Yeah,
like,
I never understood that. Like it makes it like I get it because you're creating demand for a product, and I'm not saying their beer is bad by any means. Like so, Troon's a perfect example. Troon's beer is good. I shy away from it sometimes. It's always like a hoppy ale I feel like they release, but they're good hoppy ales. Like I know why people get them so much. Like it makes sense. I just don't get the model of like I'm not saying like holy shit you should like mass produce this. But I'm also saying, like, hey, like, if Troon made, like, a fucking Pilsner, the world would burn. Like, the place would go nuts. It's always, like, hoppy ales, a sour, and a dark beer. Yep. So, for me, it's, like, I don't want to be a hype brewery because it's cool that, like, 200 people, like, that's their allotment for crowlers, go and get that beer. But out of those 200 people, they're the same 140 people and 60 lucky people getting those beer. So, like, why am I going to just market myself to 200 people 3-4 times a week when I can market myself to, like, everybody who drinks beer in New Jersey? So, and again, this is not a shot Troon. Troon is one of the best breweries in New Jersey. They make phenomenal beers. There's a reason they're so sought after. But it's not the model we went for. I wanted like I said, I want to make beer for your dad. Like, I want you to be able to take your dad out somewhere and, like, sit down at a bar and have a beer rather than, like, give him that crowler of, like, that green hoppy ale, and he'd be like, what the fuck is this? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
So, I mean, that's not your... I mean, I came to visit the brew with Sam and Allison from
Boozy Mutt.
Yeah. And it's like...
Dope people, by the way.
What?
First time meeting them, dope people.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Sam on eventually, too, to kind of, like, talk about, like, the opening of it also. But it's, like... Part of the conversation was sort of like people are into craft beer, people are into beer, but like people really love their animals, and like
more than people,
created like this brewery that's like now both like beer, brewery, and animals. Like, how much interaction do you guys like? Is that is a big part of the brand, or is it like?
Oh, you just rang the ADD bell, by the way.
Okay.
We had the whole conversation of how I got the name, and you brought that back up with the dog stuff. I'm telling you, dude, my brain is just an absolute just manic tornado. So going back, the name comes from me working at the animal hospital with my partner, coming home after my mom said, can't you do something with your degrees? That's what expended the other 4 conversations we had. But my mom once said we should call it, once you kind of like warmed up to the idea of like me doing my own thing, she said you should call it Dr. Doolittle's, like after the thing. And I was like, Mom, that's probably taken. Like, I'm going to imagine we're going to get a C&D fast. Because that was the whole, did you think if that was the question, did you have the brewery first or the name first?
Yeah.
So the name came, I literally walked in the door, because I call my mom every Tuesday. It's my Tuesday phone call. I just want to make sure my names are in bold letters on that will, is what I tell her. So I told like my then, I guess she might have been my fiance at the time, Casey. I was like, yeah, my mom said she called it Dr. Doolittle's. She goes, why don't you just call it Dr. Brewlittle's? It's beer, right? And I went, fuck, that's good. And I told my partners, and they were like, yeah, sign it up. Like, that's great. We put it on everything. But that was like, yeah. But I don't know why that reminded me of that. But yeah, we've created an environment where it's like super pet friendly. Because like there are places that like allow dogs, but it's kind of in the gray area. Like we want them all in there.
Are you kid friendly?
Yeah. So I always say as long as the parents are the owners, like owners. I mean, not owners of the kids. You know, as long as the kids that you own, yeah. But as long as the people who own the dogs or the kids, like the parents of the kids, are well behaved, it's never the kids or the dogs that create problems. It's the people. It's the owners. It's the parents. So as long as they're well behaved, we don't care. Dude, I have a guy who just called me today and signed up for his 1-year-old's birthday party upstairs. My partner, when he had his 1-year-old's birthday party there, he bought like a bouncy house for upstairs and like a ball pit and shit, and like, it was nuts. It was bonkers. People go out of their minds for their 1-year-olds. It's really an excuse for...
And their dogs. I mean, I've seen like dog birthday parties being like more expensive than any birthday party I've had.
Oh yeah, 100%. But yeah, so like we just create that big environment of like bring your animals in, like, because the other thing too is that's a whole nother market of like people who don't want to leave their dogs at home anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
So now what you have is like you can't really bring them to a bar or restaurant, but I can bring them to the brewery, and if we can bring our dog out somewhere, like we're gonna go to that place because I want to bring my dog there, not because I want to have beer, but because I want to go somewhere with my animal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with like the bougie mud is just like, you know, it's hard. You know, these people have dogs and they're like, you know, where do I find the time? It's just like, you can do both of them at once.
Yeah. So that created a whole other avenue for us. Like we do like a pet of the month. We have like a whole wall of photos in there.
Was that always from like day one kind of thought
Yeah, we
process?
were always I mean, my partner's a veterinarian. I grew up in that world. Like I have animals. Me and my wife never want kids, but we have 3 cats, a dog, and a snake. Like we're definitely animal people first. I always like make the joke when one of the things when people bring in animals, I always say like boy or girl. They go boy or girl or whatever. I go, can they have treats? And they go yes. I go great, because we make our own. Well, we have them made for us. We make our own dog treats out of our spent grain from the beer.
Very cool.
Is that the partnership with
Bruce Kids?
Bruce Kids.
Yeah. But so what we'll do is I'll always say like, can they have a treat? They go yeah. And every time I give them a treat, I'm always honest and I say, listen, like I know people think I made a brewery for people, but I made it so like I can give dogs treats and hang out with dogs. Like it's fucking awesome. I can't remember the last time we had a day in there, even a slow day, where at least one dog wasn't in there.
That's awesome.
It's like every single
it was
day.
like the cutest puppy ever was in
Yeah,
there.
I had 3 dogs in today. I had 2 at once, and another one came in as the 2 were leaving. Like we always get animals in there, and that's you gotta think about it too. Those might be people that like aren't going out somewhere with their dog that night, but like I sold another 4 or 5 beers, 6 beers, whatever it is, because people said, oh, I can go out with my dog for the night. Because like you get home, the dog's been home all day while you're working and stuff like that. You want to spend time with them, let them out, all that stuff.
Yep.
But if you can also go out and do the thing that you want to do and have a drink, but also bring your dog with you, it's a whole nother avenue.
You also like help differentiate yourself. Like there's 10,000 breweries in the country.
Yeah.
Like, how do you differentiate
There's
yourself?
so many. Yeah.
You know, like you are dog and pet friendly.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I have a tattoo of my cat on my arm. Like it's really like
it's serious.
we're big into animals over there.
Well, I think one of the cool things, and I wanted to talk about this, is the helping Paws collab.
That's a big project of ours.
And literally like specifically Bruno on here.
Yeah, from the festival.
From the festival, you brought in. Did he get adopted?
I don't know. I think he did. I'm not sure though. I don't want to say yes and give our hopes up because Bruno's been up for adoption for a while, which is crazy because he's like the sweetest fucking dog
so
ever.
adorable.
Famous now.
Yeah, he's on a can. Yeah, so
so
like
cool.
the Helping Paws thing is we work with so we do the 2 big programs we do is Helping Paws. They're a rescue that is owned at one of the hospitals, my partner Chris in Pennsauken. So every season we do a new beer for them. We donate $1 per can or beer sold back to the rescue. We put adoptable animals on the can, stuff like that. And we do SIPs, which we create like a program called Save One Pet Sunday. So S1PS. So it's clever marketing, but it's the big part of it is really like we give a free event space on Sundays to animal rescues. And so I want to say out of like the however many weeks are left, like I have at least like 2 a month moving forward. But so we'll go usually 12 to 4 and we'll create a fundraising space where they don't pay to like bring people there. So they're already interacting with people we're going to have there on a Sunday. They're bringing more people and we encourage them to bring in adoptable animals.
That's an amazing idea. Like how many people are coming to bars on Sundays and like
Yeah.
you just created 40, 30 people that
That might not
to
be
your
there.
bar.
Yeah. And they bring in adoptable animals. Like I don't remember also the last time that we had a rescue and that at least half the animals they brought in didn't get adopted.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah. So that's the SIPS program is awesome. Like that's with any rescue. And then the
And
Helping
all-
Paws
there's-
one's specific.
If you adopt your pet from a bar, like
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
you're married to that bar for
Yeah.
the rest of the time.
Where'd you get? Oh, dude, we have people that bring in like puppies that they got at rescue events with me, or they like met like the owner like for adopt. Like we have a lot of puppies that still come in. They're like, yeah, these are like brewery puppies. It's weird too. We have kids like that too, where it's like I knew
brewery
people when they
kids?
weren't pregnant. They were pregnant. Now they were there when like 1 year old. Yeah. So we have we definitely have both. I prefer the animal version of it, but yeah.
Very cool. So I mean, your can. Speaking of the can art, I mean, you speak on the can art a little bit? You have an artist that does it. Your
Yeah,
friend?
so my buddy John does it. Friday Pizza Party on Instagram and stuff like that. He does the same.
I think he won one of our.
He won one of them with my art.
Yeah.
I want to say it was with Groggs or Shorehome. I forget which one he used. I think it might have been Shorehome. But when you guys like the art competition stuff like
Yeah.
that, he won with one of our labels.
That's see, that's sick.
So my buddy John does all the art for us just because it's nice having a theme. He's also like a sick artist. So he just does everything. He also does Axe and Arrow and Glassboro. He does their can art. But he's so
Very
good that he
cool.
can create like you see similar artistic strokes in everything he does. But we have 2 like pretty different styles of things. Like we either do like pretty realistic photos of like cats or dogs,
I mean,
but
I
then
told
also
you
like
this before,
stuff like that. Yeah.
Like after you told me that, I went and looked at an Axe and Arrow. I'm like, it does not look anything like it.
No.
But I can tell that it's the same person.
Yeah, it's
that
like
did
same, but different.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Is this photo a photo that you guys took and put?
Sort
because
of.
that's you, right? Like,
So sort of. So we've had like a lot of our photos from that Malt Madness competition at the Blue Monkey, and there's definitely been like group shots of like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of more an idea that he based off a photo.
Okay.
We have there is a beer can with my face on it though.
Yeah, there is.
The 100 bottles of beer on the wall.
And then this is your bartender?
So this is that's Sam. So she thought of the idea for a green apple sour and it stuck. So we did that. This is Doc, my brewer's late cat. He passed a few years ago. That's Grog, my cat. And then Maple Shade Lager has the front of our building on it. If you look, it has the windows and everything.
oh yeah, that's cool.
So we wanted to
Could I
create
try that
like a
green apple
postcard.
sour?
Yeah. Are we allowed to drink these beers that are here?
yeah.
I like felt bad being like.
Oh, no.
I also because I
Freaking
drink
grab.
quick and I was like let's drink another one.
Grab.
I'll just slam a Docs on. That's fine.
It's a Monday night. I don't have a job.
You do have a job. Your job is to maybe pour a little bit better, but that's Everyone likes quarter beer and 3/4 head on there. That's
You gotta have a strong head.
Man's head game strongest in the business right now.
Yes. Cool. So I mean, you guys just not rented? You guys are buying the property next to you.
We own both.
Okay. Cool.
So we have Dr. Brew. Also, crazy loophole for business owners. You can create an LLC as a real estate LLC and buy your own building and pay yourself rent as a tax write-off. Totally legal and legitimate thing to do. Insane to me. Wild move. But so we have Dr. Brewl's real estate, Dr. Brewl's beer. So we own their buildings.
As essentially like separate LLCs, and then
Yep.
there's
But like we own those buildings because it's a
Take
big
notes.
thing for us. Yeah, that's right. Write that down. We own the building because I wanted to be able to like knock down walls when I wanted to do all this shit. So I'm very fortunate to have Chris as my partner because he's doing very well for himself in life. Awesome family man. Just had another kid. Wonderful wife. Like great family. And we've been able to put money into this place because of the life that he's created for himself. And we are growing at a much quicker rate than a lot of other places would. Where you see some of these places that like will just never get above a 3-barrel system. Like we went from basically immediately to a 5 into owning the building, into creating this production space, into buying next door, into getting the canning line. Like
I mean, you
we
have to
skipped
push it.
a lot of years.
If you're not growing and pushing, it's just like you have to be some sort of special creative to like
Yeah.
be able to
I mean, it was
sustain
still not out of want. Like I stand by the out of need, not out of want. And like The problem is like you might need to do something, but you don't have the funding to do it.
Definitely.
So for us, like I've been very fortunate to have Chris in my life and like create this. I mean, this is my livelihood, like basically to create a life for me. But like in doing so, like we're just able to grow a lot faster. So I own 2 lots. We own the brewery lot, and then the lot that you guys saw next door that has the yoga studio, the eventual coffee shop. We're trying to create this thing called the waiting room where we're going to add like arcade cabinets and like shuffleboard and darts and pool. So it'll be like kind of like a event space kind of thing. And then the big thing we bought that for was our buildings are perpendicular to each other for production, and we need to extend out sideways. We couldn't go back further because the parking lot was there. So we need to go sideways. And when I talked to one of the attorneys that I had when I was in the NJBA, I said like, hey, like how do I go about basically carving out what would be 600 square feet out of land next door if they're willing to like rent it to us or something? It's like, honestly, if you ever have the ability, just buy that lot. Like if you can get it for a decent price. So complicated because then the ABC gets involved of like, we're storing beer on a place that we're renting or it'd be like just this weird thing. So again, I was fortunate to have Chris where we were able to buy the lot next door and now we just own both buildings. So once we get those tenants, I mean, the yoga studio is still there. But once we get in the coffee and the eventual, like, you know, the arcade, like the waiting room we'll have like 3 tenants that'll like, you know, push to the real estate side of things, which is
and
nice.
then you have that trailer out back,
it's going to be the outside bar. Yeah. So we bought Chris loves auctions and Facebook Marketplace, which is crazy because you can just buy the world, it feels like sometimes. But so like he just will see these like random things that no one else would ever find. And it was in Philly that we got it from too. It was not a great spot that we went to. But he found this thing on Facebook Marketplace. He's like, we could do something cool with this. There was never an idea for an outside bar or anything. It was just, hey, we're going to eventually have this patio. Like it was like a week after we decided, hey, let's build a patio too. And he's like, we could do something cool with this. And I was like, fuck it. I mean, we bought that thing for like, I think it was like $4 or $5 grand or something like that. Like it wasn't super expensive, but it's a big seed crate. You see like shipping container that's covered in like wood slats. And then it's 8 by 20 and one of the 20-foot sides folds down. So the whole inside's open. It was used for the Harley Davidson show on History Channel. And it would be used like a showpiece to like transport bikes and open up and like see the bikes and stuff. So we're going to...
It's all labeled like as Discovery Channel, Harley Davidson.
Yeah. So I might want to try to keep some of it and be like, hey, Discovery Channel, like, look, we have a thing, like, it'd be neat.
You should, like that.
I know.
Yeah, that's sick.
But the front folds down. We're building a bar inside. So we'll have like a seasonal outside bar in that patio that like, you can just get beers out while you're outside and shit like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that thing's going to be dope.
Yeah, I told you this when I came to visit. Like, I knew immediately, like, you're not some guy that, like, half-ass something. It's just, like...
Ron Swanson, don't half-ass 2 things. We can whole-ass 1 thing.
Exactly. You're taking this
I got
property,
big fuck... I got fat butt, dude. I put a lot of booty on that thing, dude.
You're taking this property and you're doing, like, the absolute most with it. And it's, like...
I'm trying
to. It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's my life. I'm trying to create, like... Because there's no retirement plan. There's no, like, 401k I'm building to. Like, I'm hoping that this creates an ideal for me where I can buy, like, a few condos and, like, make... My goal is like never like I want an expensive car, a huge house. Like if I could passively make like $80K a year, have my house that I have, own a few properties that just pay like we just get like rent and like mortgages from, and I can golf when I want to, go out to eat once in a while, and like go on a vacation a year with my wife. Like that's all we really want. Like I don't have expensive taste whatsoever, but like that'd be neat for me. Like I'm not trying to create some like lavish lifestyle for me. I'm trying to create something where I can invest in other things and just be comfortable in life and not like worry about where like my next paychecks come from and stuff like that. It's really my only goal.
Nice. So is that kind of what you guys are focused on now? I mean, you said that like you're taking over sales. Like what's the focus now? Like is it distribution? Is it
sort of? So I would say like I have an end goal. So like it's just like different moves to get to that end goal. But I knew what I was from A, and I know what I want to be at Z. And for right now, like that might change. Who knows? So like all the steps in between are just like what letters are going to come first.
Yep.
Like, all the rest of the alphabet's kind of jumbled up.
I feel that sometimes.
So my end goal for me is like my parents are so supportive now of this. They tell all their friends about it. They bring like a van out like once a year to like bring all my like people I haven't seen in like years come out. Like they brought a coach bus out the other year, and on the side it said Brewlittles or bust. And they brought in like 60 people. So I shut the place down for a day. They brought in like 60 people, all their family friends. The people were like, "Oh my god, this is great." So like now they're so supportive. Like a really cool end goal for me was, I don't want like my uncle in California buying my beer, but like if I could have my parents go to like a restaurant somewhere around them or like a liquor store somewhere near them and like get Brewlittle's beer, like for me, yeah, like that'd be so sick. Like that's like kind of the angle. Like do enough where I can expand through a few states around here and call it a day.
Yeah,
I'd be happy. Like we'd be at a good point. And like granted, that might change of like, hey, like I always say like I'll never sell the brewery unless it's like a life-changing amount of money. Because like at that point I would just, okay, great, I'll take that, just open another brewery. So like fine. But like if it was ever like, if someone's like, hey, we'll give you $1 million for it, I'd be like, no, fuck off, like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
If someone's like, hey, here's $15 million for your brewery, I'd be like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. And like it wouldn't be a thing where like I'm abandoning people. It'd be like, okay, great, like I'm gonna open up a brewery like a town over, like fine, great, no problem. There's probably like huge clauses in that I can never do that, but in an ideal world, that's what I would do.
That's in your negotiation.
Yeah, in my negotiations. Yeah, you know, I mean, I look like a good negotiator too. This is what you want showing up in the boardroom, dude. I showed up to meet the governor looking like this. I met the governor a few times to talk about like beer and like legislation stuff, and I just was in like my Brewlittle's Hawaiian shirt and like shorts.
Well, you look like craft beer.
Yeah, I don't dress. I mean, I look good in a suit, but I hate dressing up. The same thing. Like I had a Burlington County Chamber of Commerce thing that I spoke to like new faces of business or whatever it was, like in Jersey. And I thought they just wanted me to talk for like a little bit. I didn't realize where I was going to, and I just had like a big like day at the brewery. So I'm in like khaki shorts, my boat shoes, and the bright orange Hawaiian shirt I wear all the time. And I get to this place, and these people are in like suits and pearls and shit. And I was like, ah, fuck. And then I get in there, and I'm like, oh, I am so underdressed. And I found out that I wasn't on like a quick little panel. I was the last person to speak.
Oh my god.
In like the big panel, and I had to follow one of the state senators. I had to follow the mayor of Burlington County and the president of the Burlington County Chamber of Commerce. So I followed all these guys up that were in like suits and ties with like shorts and Hawaiian shirt. So I mean, this is what you get when you get it. But like now that they're like going back to again ADD moments, but like going back to like all the supportiveness and stuff is like, yeah, like distribution right now is awesome. Like I like doing sales a lot. I think I'm good at it. Like I like to talk, and I like to, you know, I'm selling my own product, and that's making a big difference for us. Like we're getting people that are like, oh, you're a sales guy for Brewlittle's, right? And I go, no, like that's my brewery. And they go, you're delivering your beer, you're selling your own beer. I go, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like I believe in my product. I'm not just gonna like, you know, yeah, I could pay someone else to do it, but for me, it's about like really backing the thing that you're behind. And I'm starting to see a lot of people like really respect that. Of like, well, if the owner's coming out to sell me his beer and the owner's the one delivering it on Thursday, then like this is a product that like they really can stand behind.
Yeah.
And so like that right now is our focus. Like we're growing the tap room, we're doing that kind of stuff, and I'm growing distribution. And maybe next year we pull back on distribution, focus on the brew pub stuff, and maybe the brew pub doesn't happen, and I buy a bigger production facility, and now we're all over Jersey and Pennsylvania. I just kind of know where I start and where I kind of want to end up, and all the stuff in between is just, I'm a big time like seat of the pants kind of guy. Like I just kind of roll with it. Not a lot of stuff stresses me out. I just kind of want to, you know, any opportunity that comes my way, like we want to try to capitalize on. I don't want to like have this like super set vision of like this is what we have to do and like put the blinders on, then miss all the shit around you. That could be like really cool opportunities to do stuff.
So are you self-distributing right now?
Yeah, so the laws in Jersey allow for a brewery to self-distribute under their own license.
Cool.
So any bar, restaurant, liquor store in New Jersey, I can distribute through myself.
Does it have to be from the same facility?
No, so I could have two facilities. It just has to be under a license number.
Gotcha.
So basically, I would either distribute. Let's say I had Brewery A in Maple Shade and Brewery B in like LBI. Mm-hmm. I could distribute out of both, but I would just have to mark where the beer is coming from and brew. It has to be brewed there and distributed from that site.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was the whole reason that Tonewood built Barrington. They needed a shit ton more Fuego. They were basically having days where they'd have 5-6 things on tap because every single tank in the back was Fuego because that beer just is the IPA of New Jersey.
Is that like when you're going around to bars? Is that like, I mean, they're so hot right now. Is that like not the biggest competition, but like they're the biggest local brewery around there right now?
So it's weird because like there's no real. Everyone has their own like avenue and stuff. Like I'm never in competition with Tonewood unless you know we did beat them the first year in the Malt Madness thing. So I guess we were in competition, we won. So the one time we were in competition, I beat them. I'm just kidding. They're great. I met Eli and those guys. Like they're awesome. But like they're such like a bigger brewery where like their distribution's so much wider than ours that like us being in a bar or restaurant or something like that, it's never knocking off Tonewood. It's like it's knocking off maybe a beer that doesn't do as well or like somewhere that's not as local.
Yeah, some large.
Yeah, and there's also like, dude, I do collaborations. We might have done the most collabs in the state right now. I think we've done a lot.
Really?
Because like the loophole, if you can't like I can't sell your beer at my brewery, but if you own a brewery in like Manahawk and I own one in New Jersey, like in Maple Shade, I can come to your brewery and brew a recipe with you guys. And then you can come to my brewery and brew at my place, and I put on tap at mine, and you put on tap at yours. So you have the same beer at two different locations that way. So we've done at least like 30, 35 collaborations between different organizations and breweries and stuff like that, because I like working with other people. But like no one's really in competition with each other. It's not like a bar or restaurant where like a person's going to go eat a burger. They're going to have one burger that day. Where are they getting that burger? For us, it's like a person's going to drink a beer, but they might have 5 or 6, and it might be fun to go to 3 different breweries to have those 5 or 6.
And the culture of craft beer is, you know, like very community-based. So they want to share the love.
Big time. Any brewery that really goes like, fuck you, like, I'm the best brewery, we're going to do better. We're going to knock you out of all the places. They never survive. I can't think of the last one that did well that was like, fuck you, we're going to be just our brewery and like everyone else is dead to us. Like you have to be collaborative. Because people talk too. And a lot of these, like I know a lot of bar and restaurants owners. So if they ask me like, hey, how's Jim's brewery? And I go, Jim's an asshole, dude. Jim like says fuck you to all the other breweries. They'd be like, well, I'm not having Jim's beer on. Like it just...
It's like the story that you tell to like bars, like, you know, or not just bars, but customers, like craft beers, this collaborative, like, you know, like entrepreneurial focused thing. If like the random wrench you throw in there is like this dude's a dick to everybody, it's like
no one's gonna want to deal with it.
I don't want to be involved.
Exactly, yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't think about this a lot either. Oh God, beer just really just comes up on it. Yeah, drink my beer, you burp bunch. So I mean, and we're very highly carbonated, but like, you'll like, I'll go out and I'll be at a bar or restaurant. So my wife always says like, I'm a great date and a horrible date. I'll be really attentive, but not for the first 15 minutes. I'm catching up on emails. I'm doing shit. We're sitting down. And it's like a joke, and I'm starting to see it as a real reality that people call me like a local celebrity. Because every time we go out somewhere near where the brewery is, people go like, oh, Dr. Brewlittle's, or like, oh, Jack, or oh, Doctor, or a brew like guy, or beer guy. Like, I don't remember the last time we went out to dinner and someone was like, oh, what's up, dude? And like, would just know me. And I feel bad. Like, I don't remember everybody because there's just so many people you meet. But we would just go out and people would be like, oh, shit, like Dr. Brewlittle's, man. Like, your fucking beer's great. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And my wife would go like, how do you know these people? And I go, one, I don't really, but I'm like the face of the brewery. And like I probably see them in passing, but two, it's like because of that like local atmosphere and like collaboration, there's people that own bars and restaurants that have drank my beer at my brewery that I don't know about, or there's people that live by that bar and restaurant that have drank my beer that ask for it somewhere else. So you don't realize, even though there's so many people and so densely populated in New Jersey, about how small of a world Jersey really is. Like you're only really a stone's throw or 2 stones away from someone who knows someone who drank your beer.
It's so many people, but you make it small. By
everywhere I go, like I don't even think about the fact that I could be driving by 30 people on 295 that all love Dr. Brewlittle. It's like you don't think about that shit until you do, and that's why I always try to have this like really good environment of like, hey, like I like our beer, but every time we have a competition or make a post, like it's not me just fluffing it up. Like I do think that New Jersey has some radical fucking breweries in it, and I really don't know many that are like not great or like assholes to people. So every time that we do something, like I like to showcase other breweries, like. When we did the Malt Madness thing, like every single post we had, I either tagged the competition we were with, tagged the people that were in it. Like I just like New Jersey beer as a whole. Because the big thing too is the better that beer does in New Jersey, the better that you do personally. Yeah. Like if I grow myself, I'm not growing the state. I'm growing like what I'm doing. And it's such a small scale growth. But if I grow like New Jersey as a whole, the whole reason that I did like a board seat and I was the vice president of the NJBA and all that stuff, because I want to make Jersey beer better as a whole. Because if 30 places grow, I'm going to be one of those 30 places. And it's just going to make New Jersey better and more craft beer drinkers as a whole. It doesn't make
absolutely.
I mean, not to talk about ourselves for a second, but like part of the reason why we did this podcast, and like I'm trying to like beat this horn, is when I got into craft beer, all the breweries, it was like the large regional breweries now were the breweries that were hot when I was getting into craft beer, like 2011, and they had this like front and center person that was like in the front of the brand, like someone like you that was just like. You're not just creating this brand where it's just like, it feels like the Wizard of Oz. It's just like you are in front of your brand. Yeah. And part of this is like taking these people that are in the industry and like forcing them, like you are already you, but a lot of people, like there's a lot of brewers that like don't have that
you don't know the owner.
Face, and like we can take it with all this production equipment.
It's a lot of production equipment too.
Like, you know,
this camera's going to add like 40 pounds.
Exactly. Cast it onto Instagram and just be like creating this for craft beer. Like we need more people like you in craft beer to kind of like not local celebrity. Yes, you said local celebrity.
The mayor of Maple Shade, yeah.
Exactly. It's like I think craft beer kind of needs more like that for people to kind of connect to it.
Well, I do it too because I want to hear the bad shit. Like if you had a bad experience with my beer, like I want to know about it because I'll fix that shit personally.
I had a terrible time last.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah. I'm not gonna fix yours. Fuck you. You're dead to me. Podcast is over. Yeah. Start breaking $1,000 of equipment. Peel out of your garage. But my thing is, like, I've had people when we did crowlers where, like, hey, I got a crowler from you and open it 2 days later, it was skunked. I'd be like, come in for a new crowler. Yeah. Like, tell me when things are bad. Like, I want to be able to fix stuff because there's a lot of breweries that, like, I won't name names, but there were breweries in New Jersey that, like, Untapped sucks. Untapped is a shitty app. Untapped sucks. It's really good for menu management. It's a great platform for the, like, administrative side of breweries. As a front public-facing whole,
if you need to do that, you can use BrewedDB.
Yeah,
as a sponsor.
Yeah,
podcast, but
as a front-facing thing, the thing that sucks is that like the rating system got so skewed because it was like, hey, this beer was okay, 3.5. I was like, it's out of 5. That beer was okay. It should be a 1 or a 1.5. Yeah. But then everyone's minimum ratings became 3.5s, and then people were like, oh, I like this beer a lot, 5.0. But they'd have 40 5.0s. I'm like, that's not what a perfect beer is. You get maybe 10 of those in your life. You want to give it a 4.5, 4.75, fine, because there had to be a little something wrong that like if that beer doesn't give you a fucking hard on, like you should not give it a 5 like a 5-star. And so the thing that we got was like we would get all these like people rating stuff and going off these ratings, and it would just like it just skews things so much. But from that public facing side, if I see a beer that we have that's like a 2.5, there's something wrong with that fucking beer. Like whether or not I love it or I think it's the best beer that the brewery ever made, there's something inherently wrong with that beer because it can't be like I get the skewed version of like, hey, this beer might be a 4.25 because we had a limited keg of it, and out of 100 ratings, one person took out their phone when they got a flight and said, I don't like dark beers. One, why the fuck did you get a dark beer then? And two, why'd you go through the effort of rating it? That's besides the point. But you would get like a few hundred ratings. And if your beer's at 2.5, like there's something wrong with that beer.
Well,
you shouldn't keep that on.
It might not be the beer. It might be the marketing. It might be the way that like it's like a different style than what you're saying.
But the thing with Untapped though is that like people's average ratings are 3.5. So if they're going out of their way to give like a lower rating, it's a bad beer.
Yeah.
But you'd have these breweries that would like not pay attention to that and like not move stuff around. Like we've never had a beer rate less than like 3.5, 3.75, whatever it is. And I love that wheelhouse that we're in. Like we're a perfect craft beer thing. We're like the top like 15, 20% New Jersey. Like I love that. But like they would never focus on the bad shit. And like I've had beers that we've put out as experimental batches and seen the same like bad comment 4 times. And I've known 2 of them, and I've been like, hey, like, why'd you leave that comment? Not like, hey, why the fuck you leave? But like, hey, like, what can I do to change that? And they've given me notes, and I've taken those notes, and the next batch of that beer that we had was just all positive ratings. It's like, I want to hear the negative shit. Like, I put my face up there because it's cool to, like, my face is on a billboard in New Jersey. That's really fun.
Is it really?
100%. It's a really good picture of me, too. It makes me actually look attractive.
For Dr. Brewlittles?
Yeah. So it's like, there's a picture that I always use for, like, photos for stuff. You probably seen the one of me holding the keg.
Yeah.
That I always say was full.
Yeah.
It definitely was full.
On your website, I will say.
Yeah.
I will tell your
That's
website.
my picture.
And you just like all the other, everyone looked great on the website, but the picture you
I look majestic
right
as
in the middle,
fuck,
you look
dude.
super majestic.
I look really good,
Yeah.
and that's the best photo. There's one other photo that's close, but that's the best photo I've ever fucking taken. Period.
I made a note of it today.
Yeah. If you haven't been on the website, like don't even look at my tablets. Just look at me and send me a compliment.
You know what? We're gonna put that right here.
Yeah. Honestly, you look at my website and you email me a nice photo, I'll give you a fucking free beer the next time you come in. But I put my face there because like it's cool to see like me on a billboard or like me on a podcast picture or like an interview and stuff like that. But it's also there because I want people to know who they can come to when they either want to say something great or say something shitty. Mm-hmm. Like there should be an avenue for that where it's like not just an owner hiding behind like bar staff or like a logo. Like I want just as much as my logo is my logo, my face is my brand. Mm-hmm. So if you see me walking around and you go, Dr. Brewlittles, I had your fucking beer, I didn't love it. Tell me why. Like I'll take. I'm never gonna be like, no, my beer's the best ever. Like Michael Jordan do. There's always somebody better than you. I'm never gonna think we're the best ever. No matter how many awards we win, what we do, the scale of the size, the scope of stuff. Like we're never the best. But I want people to know that like my face is there for good stuff and for bad
That's
stuff.
why people love craft beer. I mean, the flavor's there, the quality's there, but people really truly love craft beer because they can reach out and touch the product and like realize that it's a real thing that's made locally.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were in the production facility. Like my grain was like you could slap the bag of it. Like it's not like I'm like shipping it or stuff. Like it's there. Nice, dude. It's a hearty slap too. It's a good one. It'll hurt your hand if you hit it too hard. But yeah, I mean that's how I run stuff. I don't know. I try to be approachable to people.
And that's like a super old school mentality now because there's like Sam Calgione sort of delivering beer type of deal,
Yeah.
you know, like.
I'm so surprised
anymore.
that it shocks people, but I'm like, I get like the draw of it's cool to talk to the owner or the producer of the beer. But, like for me, I'm not taking over sales because like I want to like, oh man, like if I take this over, people will buy my beer because of that. That was never the first thing. The first thing for me was I'm taking over sales because like dude, this is my fucking life. Mm-hmm. Like if I can't support this and showcase it and like tell you everything about it and like all that stuff, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah, who can?
Like if I don't believe in a product, like if the person who owns the business of the product doesn't believe in it, then no one under me is gonna have the same fucking like you know like want to like say how good that product is. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why I do it.
Very cool. So I guess what do you guys have in store next? I mean, like we're kind of wrapping up time wise, but like do you guys have like?
I mean, I got 5 hours if you want. I don't give a shit. I'm in Philly forever. I parked here, so I got to stay here overnight now. Fucking Philadelphia. I mean, I love it. It's great. We're gonna put beer here soon. Please buy it. I mean, so the expansion is really big for us. It's took us 564 days to get a permit.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a long time.
Is that just like construction government issues, or that anything to do
Sort of.
with
The township's really good, but they went through like 4 different engineers. So like our escrow was like $35,000, $40,000, something like that, because like they would have a new engineering firm look at it every like 4 months. So that crushed us. That sucked. So now that we're finally starting it, like we're getting the patio going. Hopefully soon we're gonna have the other business next door, which would be nice for Main Street. So that's definitely our focus right now. I'm like putting a lot of time and effort into distro. Like I'm bringing like I had like one day where I saw like 42 different accounts. I got on the road like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I got to my last account like 7:15. And I was like, I mean, I might not see the person, but I was like, fuck it, like if I can drop a 4-pack in a sales list, and I like my last account, I saw the guy and he signed with us because I was like, he's like, you're here at like 7 o'clock at night. I was like, yeah, sorry, I know it's a little bit late, but like I'm in the air, I'm finishing up my routes. He's like, no, like you're here. If I'm here at 7 o'clock at night and you're here at 7 o'clock at night, it means you're just working as hard as I am. I was like, yeah, pretty much. So I signed that account to pick up beer from us because I just was like, I had the day and the time to do it. So like distro is definitely something I'm focusing on a little bit, just kind of seeing where that beast takes us. Maybe it's a dead end, maybe it's a cool, thriving part of it, but we're not going to know until I reach the end of that wall kind of thing, or maybe that trail never ends. We're looking to definitely expand a little bit more where we're at right now, just kind of grow the brand a little bit more. Got a lot of fun things in store next door, but like I said, like every day is kind of just like waking up and seeing what the day brings and seeing what I got to do. Like just kind of taking it day by day and not worrying about like what's my 5-year plan, but like more like what's my like 5-week or 5-month plan. Just making sure I hit if you set like 10 small goals to reach one big one, it's going to seem a lot easier to reach those 10 goals and just setting that one big goal and trying to figure out how you get there.
Definitely.
So I just like I like little steps to get to the second floor. I'd rather walk up 30 steps than walk up 2 of them. It's a lot less effort.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Any cool collabs in the near future right now, or?
I would say the one that we have coming up the quickest. I mean, the Helping Paws is every season,
Yeah.
so we're planning our next fall one. Oh, Josh told me what we're doing, and I forgot what we're doing, which sucks. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty damn cool one for the fall.
Guess you'll just have to tune in.
Yeah. See, there you go. I'm leaving you on your edge. I'm not forgetful. It's enticing you. No, I'm a moron. I forgot. So Helping Paws is always a fun thing that we do, and then we are doing stuff with Laka's Coffee. So Laka's Coffee is a really big coffee shop in New Jersey, which weird. Like I know we're running out of time, but I'll tell you a quick 5-hour story. So weird little thing is Laka's Coffee is in like every diner in New Jersey. Like they're like a big coffee company in New Jersey, and they're the next town over in Pennsauken. So I didn't know that they were that big, and I was like, hey, it's a local roastery. Like I know they were like big, but I was like, hey, what if I reach out and say like, hey, we're making a coffee beer, and it'd be really cool if like the local place right next to us like gave us some beans to do it with. Like I think that'd be a fun collab. And I left them a message because I got transferred to the wrong person apparently. And 2 weeks later, the guy reached out. He's like, I'm so sorry. My name's Chris. Like, we would love to do this. This is awesome. We've been looking at you guys for a while. We've wanted to do stuff with the brewery for a while. And so, like, they kind of courted us a little bit. And I was like, oh, this is fucking dope. I feel like a pretty little princess. So we did a first collab with them where we did their dark roast. It's like dark note. We did a coffee stout. And it was just like alcoholic cold brew. Like, it tasted just exactly like cold brew. Her beans are great. It was like 5%. And people, crushed it. Like, we went through that. I think we went through the full batch in like 3 weeks. It was so fast. And I said, okay, like, I want to test the first one. If that goes well, let's do something fun. So the plan for the future is twice a year, we're going to do a collab with them. The beers will change. But the cool thing they're going to do is they'll create, like, a medley of beans. So, like, we're going to create a new one every time. And the only time you can get that specific medley is going to be either in our beer during the collab or the bags that they sell during the collab.
Oh,
so it'll be like specific to that like one collaboration, and then once it's done, like that mixture might never ever come back.
Yeah, it's almost like the bags that they sell when they're operating as a business is almost like the same thing as like you selling a can of beer.
Yeah. So they'll do like a collab with us, and John made a sick label for that too. It's
cool.
It's like a.
Did he design the label for the coffee also?
Yeah, that's what I'm. It's good too. It's like cats boarding a dog pirate ship. It's fucking sick, dude. It's dope. But that's like the bigs one we have coming up. I got a few with breweries that I got planned coming up. We have a couple house beers in the works that we're trying to get through and do some house beers. Some in Philly too. So we're working on a couple places just in Philly to try to get us out here and start some Philly distribution. I'm hoping for like maybe by the spring of next year you see us in a few accounts out here. But
Nice.
It's a whole nother beast, and then you're dealing with like a distributor and all that stuff. But luckily my brother-in-law works at 31st and Wharton, so I kind of have a pretty big aim with like an Auriglio company, which is nice. But
Yeah, very cool.
yeah, one thing at a time though. Kind of the same thing, like 10 small steps instead of 2 big ones. So we're just kind of taking the journey as it goes.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me. I gotta say, like, I don't feel like you guys get enough credit for this kind of shit. This isn't me buttering you up. Like, I really don't care enough to, not that I don't care enough to butter you up, but like,
Butter me up.
yeah, butter that biscuit. But like, it's fun, like, when I get to do this, because there's not a lot of people like on that side of things, like the other side of the table. Like, there's plenty of me's that you can talk to where it's like brewery owners, bars, restaurants. There's a lot of that out there. There's not a lot of people like putting in the time and effort to find all those people interview them, highlight the industry. So I always like to say, like, when I do podcasts and stuff like that, like, I'm more gracious for you guys putting it on than like me being on, because it's a lot of fucking work to like go out there and find people and talk to them and like make it different every time you do it. Because like for me, it's like I do this once, maybe I see you guys again like months and we do another one, but for you guys, it has to be different every single time. You have to like cater it towards that person, so it's a lot of fucking work. So I appreciate you guys doing that.
Like I said, I mean, it's there's a lot of personalities out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of amazing people. You're awesome, and like getting to showcase you is very easy. It's like like we put this together, and then it's like it's not like each and every time like we're reinventing the wheel. Like we've created this environment.
Yeah.
And we can kind of create. Bring people like you on here, and it's just
Well, it helps you gave me the script and we rehearsed this for like 2 months before. It really, yeah.
No, and I mean, like Jack, like we've been working together for a minute now.
Yeah,
so,
wow,
like,
yeah.
So it's want to highlight just that in a sense. Too.
Yeah, it's
like,
been an awesome partnership. It's helped us. Like, it's done a lot of stuff for us. It's gotten you guys clients. Like, it's gotten stuff on your side. It's just been a really beneficial, like, little two-way. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that
little
itself,
tete-a-tete.
it like for us, obviously starting up, like it takes people to believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
In a sense, and you've been one of those people since
Thanks.
day one for us.
That's what I'm about, dude. Like, I see a company that either wants to do something fun or like, because my thing's the same as distribution. Like, if it works, great, awesome. But if it doesn't, no hard feelings. We move on. It just wasn't good for us. But I mean, yeah, our partnership's been dope. It's highlighted. We've got new followers. It's been an awesome thing. Like, I can't recommend you guys enough. I tell people about you guys, about like the social media aspect of things. Like, it's just been really good. There's been no like negative things for us, honestly. It's been dope.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
cool.
You
So
made it.
where can we find you guys? At Dr. Brewlittle
Yep,
on
so
Instagram.
Yeah, pretty much everything's like either just search Dr. Brewlittle's. I have a girl I work with, Jen. I do pretty much everything myself, but she's really good at like SEO and Google and stuff like that.
Cool.
So she's designed a few websites for like Chris's Animal Hospitals. So if you just search Dr. Brewlittle's, like we're gonna come up quick. So Instagram, Dr. Brewlittle's. We have a Facebook page. I always say like I don't care if you follow us on Tap. If you ever have like questions about like what we have on tap next or what we have coming up or beers that we've done. Untap's a good thing. Our website has everything on it from our calendar of events for the trivia and the open mic and all the music we have on the weekends, the SIPS programs.
Amazing picture of you.
I left amazing picture of me if you need a little, material at home to help you guys out. I left. We had a Dungeons and Dragons event tonight and I played for like an hour, then left a little early to come do the podcast and stuff like that. But we do like D&D, we do video game tournaments every other week. Like we do a lot of shit, so you can find that calendar on there. The website's just a good piece of information. But yeah, we're at Maple New Jersey on Main Street, 108 East Main Street. And I always tell people too, like being the face of the business, the Instagram, the Facebook, the contact form, the website, the email, it's all just me. Like you email or drop a line or do anything, like you're going to talk to me. So if you ever want to chat, tell me about your day or have any beer questions, like anywhere you reach out, it's unfortunately going to be me.
Nice. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Thank you again. It was awesome.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So you can follow us at BrewedAt or at the BrewedAt podcast. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's good hammered. All right, great.